This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's worst 250 movies so you do not have to.
I'm Michelle St. Clair.
I'm Abigail Ward.
And this week we watched Crossroads. 3 childhood friends embark on a cross-country adventure to pursue dreams they once put aside, taking risks that are sure to change their lives forever. Let's watch. Clunky to read. I realized I was doing the hand, like the Trump hand. 3 childhood friends.
Frankly, have no clue.
Frankly, embark on a cross-country adventure. No one embarks on a cross-country adventure better than me.
Oh, dude. Don't remind me of the election coming up.
Yeah. Well, it seems like Kamala's doing well.
Yeah, truly. At first, when she was announced, I had that very cynical feeling of like, don't get your hopes up for her, because like I almost feel like this is horrible as well, but I was like, if we weren't ready for Clinton, if we couldn't combine forces for Clinton, at first I was like, I don't know if Kamala Harris is that charismatic, but she's done a really good job so far at pulling voters together.
I think the incredible thing is both that she is widely appealing to a regular person.
Yeah.
Even if it makes certain people cranky. I think the worry that a lot of people, especially women, had in the wake of Clinton was, will America be able to vote in a woman? And it turns out that what they were angry about was not just women, but they just hate Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's the thing. I think I was like, well, if Clinton couldn't do it, frankly, she's a white woman and she couldn't do it. So I felt like Kamala's chances were smaller. But then I remembered how uncharismatic Hillary Clinton always was.
Yeah.
Even for me back in 2016, that dearly hoped that she would be voted in. I didn't like her that much.
Yeah, no.
Like, she's not likable. She tried to do Vines back in the day and the Vines were terrible.
Really quite awful.
I'm in New Hampshire drinking a cola.
Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just, it never hit. Whereas Kamala is young and energetic and I'm more excited and hopeful than I was, say, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Obviously, American empire, flaws of candidates, blah blah blah. It's just it's just better. it's just better.
And it's just such a relief that Biden stepped down.
Yeah, honestly,
it's such a relief. I remember when I was watching the debate, I was becoming enraged. I was like, this is it. This is the best you could come up with to represent both parties.
Not to give really any Republican any credit, but Nikki Haley expressed the point probably clearest when she said the first party to get rid of their 80-year-old candidate is the one who will win the election.
Yeah, honestly. And I love that as soon as Biden stepped down, everyone was like, whoa, Trump, you're 78. Are you able to do the job? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, he's what, 3 years younger?
Well, especially
3?
the team seems more energized. And the strategy is better. Instead of going like, when they go low, we go high, and just going like, the way we beat fascism is by shaking our heads at it. Instead, it's by going, hey, look at that. That's fucking weird. You sure you want those guys in charge? They're dorks.
Well, yeah, when Kamala was like, I've built my whole career on prosecuting, predators. And she just let it linger there. I was like, fuck yeah, they're pulling that card, and they went straight for it as well. I do hate that. And I was saying this to Claude. In a way, I wonder if Trump will... not to give him more credit than he is due, because he doesn't do it on purpose, but I wonder if his ridiculously informal and accusatory and ill-advised approach to public speaking will almost revolutionize politics, because the truth is...
It already has.
He has become, even more so, I think, just because he is so off the leash when he's talking. No matter what he's advised, he's like, fuck you, I'm going to say what I want. I'm my own guy and I'm not going to be controlled by a team. And so he'll just like run his mouth and say the dumbest shit because he's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But people love that because it makes him feel like a real person. And like, he'll joke around with the crowd and be like, what are you wearing there? Whereas Biden is rehearsed, or well, Kamala also, but they are rehearsed and they are well practiced and they are well groomed and they don't go off script too much. And I wonder if that is the problem.
But that's why Kamala with the coconut tree comment and with the her talking to kids about food and stuff, those feel genuine in a
More
way
genuine,
that is actually really good at combating Trump's style.
Just wondering if they pushed it further, could they get more results? Because genuinely, I think that a lot of Republicans just like Trump because they're like, he's like a buddy. You know, he makes jokes and we all laugh at it at the conferences.
He's running circles around those
And
elites.
a lot to be said for that. The Democratic Party, or rather, at least Biden, is very afraid to do that.
That's
because
why a lot of
they're
Americans
afraid
like
of getting in hot
Obama.
water.
He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, but
He isn't, but he seems like it.
well, yeah, he seemed really, God, I miss Obama. Like, he was so well put together and he was so charismatic and he spoke so well.
Yeah.
But
I miss 2008 Obama when he said he was going to do stuff.
Well, you also felt like you never actually saw a true glimpse of him, you know, because he was so perfect.
Yeah, it was a very polished public perception.
Very polished. And that's what I mean. If the Democrats tried to get rid of this idea of polish, would it help them? And I think
they're stuck in the 90s.
Yeah.
Ironically, the 90s is also when Clinton won by going like, I like burgers.
I like to play sex.
Yeah, like, come on.
Literally, yeah.
Those are the candidates that win.
Exactly. We need someone down to earth who isn't afraid to look goofy and to make fun of themselves and to make jokes.
Can you do a Bill Clinton impression all the time? Because it's like Kermit.
What?
You're like,
I play sex.
that sounds nothing like Bill Clinton.
Hey, man.
That's closer.
Hey, man. Hey, man.
You keep adding this like tongue in the throat sound to it.
Yeah.
That makes him sound like if Bill Clinton was a Muppet.
Bill Clinton, Kermit, there's a lot in common going on.
Hey,
Have you
man,
ever seen
it's
them in
not
the
easy
same
being
room?
green.
Have you ever seen them in the same room?
That's true. I never have.
I haven't.
I mean, we should start talking about the movie, but it's been so long since we've gotten to also like hang out and record. I mean, I posted about this on social media. I had to go to Sydney for a week because my mum was sick. You've been sick as well.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't just had a hard time sitting down to record, but for each other. But you know who else we haven't had time for? The fans. We got sent another email by honoured friend of the podcast, Shane Anderson. It's titled Mama and Smell-O-Vision. Good morrow, Descenders. A term I think we've never said before, and I don't know why.
Descendants is great.
Descenders.
Yeah. Oh, Descenders.
Yeah,
well, we're also descendants.
Yeah, everyone's but that's not unique. Everyone's a descendant.
We're rating descendants.
That's
We're rating descendants.
what? Yeah, but Descenders makes more sense in this. Rating descendants. We're not rating descendants.
We are rating descendant.
What?
We are rating descendant.
You keep repeating it, and
I don't
doesn't make
know
sense.
why it's not making sense to you.
Good morrow, Descenders. While this may read like an actually email, I can assure you it probably definitely is. Regarding the movie Mama, or if you remember when we were talking about Scary Movie 5 and we were confused about the movie Mama, while it is strange that Scary Movie 5 focuses so much on it, it is in fact an American film.
Oh.
While Andy Muschietti, the director, is Argentinian, it was his feature debut, born of a short film he sent to Del Toro, who then immediately moved mountains to get him his first feature. Andy, maybe it's Muschietti, would follow it up with a record-breaking recent adaptation of Stephen King's It, Chapters 1 and 2. Which I didn't know. And Mama is also an excellent film with a great Chastain performance. So I remember we were a little confused because we had never heard of it, and it also seemed like an odd pick for Scary Movie. But
Yeah.
I guess at the time there was probably a lot of buzz around it. It sounds like
I guess so.
being an American movie that had like a whole shtick.
Yeah.
The Scratch and Sniff and Spy Kids. What listeners might be fascinated to hear is the first instance of this specific gimmick is from queer icon and the Pope of Trash, John Waters, for his film Polyester in 1981. If you've never seen a Waters film before, Serial Mom is a great entryway into his filmography. Agreed.
Nice.
It is rather strange to see it pop up in a kids' film, although people and theatre chains have tried many times to incorporate some sort of scented experience in cinemas since 1906, even before the introduction of synced sound. Hope you guys are going well. This podcast has given me a lot of joy during an exceptionally tumultuous period I'm going through at the moment. Yours in nerdy corrections, Shane. We love you and we miss you, Shane.
Hope you're okay, Shane.
Hope you're okay, Shane. We can only do so much from here, this being a very one-sided sort of format.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's cool with Smell-O-Vision.
Yeah, Smell-O-Vision's great.
But it also keeps not working.
Aromascapes.
Aroma?
Crazy.
Ooh.
No, that's what it was.
Oh,
Remember this-
Aromascope.
Okay, I can't remember if it was Aromascape or Scope, because at one point I said both.
I feel like
one
you would set up an Aromascape, but Aromascope feels very much like it's hearkening.
But I'm pretty sure it
film.
is Aromascope, and that's why it should be Aromascape. But I'm pretty sure it was Aromascope.
No, I think it should be Aromascope because that fits the film sort of feel.
Yeah, it was Aromascope.
Yeah. I would say you would make an Aromascape, but
Wait.
it is Aromascope.
It is. No, you're right. Yeah, Aromascope.
Yeah.
Look, I don't even remember what one you or I both thought it was at the beginning of that. That's how short-term my memory has become. It's gone.
Hey, speaking of short-term memory,
Or long-term.
this week we watched Crossroads.
Yes, we did.
What do you think of this? What do you think of this? This is Britney Spears' movie.
Actually, it should not be this low on the list. At
Not
all.
even close.
At all. I actually thought all three of the leads were actually really good.
Yes.
And Britney Spears is a good actress. She was
Yeah.
really sweet in this. And it made me forget that the other two are trained actresses. And she herself is not. And she is still good,
And
you know?
she's got smart branding in it as well. Like she plays to her classic innocent girl stereotype, but also with the expansion of she's quite smart and capable. She is repeatedly, like whenever they get into dire situations, she thinks her way out of it.
She's the nerdy one, you know?
Yeah,
She put her
she's the
head down
nerdy
and
one.
became valedictorian.
She also still fucks in this.
Well, she also, so her acting was great. This is a notable Britney Spears film, and she is the lead, and it really focuses on her because she is the star power of the film, and she's probably what drew in a lot of people to go watch it. But the other two are Zoe Saldana?
Zoe Saldana.
And
Taryn Manning.
Well, the woman Pensatucky from Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
And she, as Pensatucky, was always good, but she was really good in this.
Yeah, she's
really good.
Every time she's one of those character actresses that whenever you see her, you're like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, what the fuck is this movie doing this low on the list? Is it just because it has Britney Spears in it?
I'll get to it, but I got really emotional whilst watching this and next week's movie, which I watched in a row, just because of some of how they sit in the podcast and the fact that they're here.
I know.
Makes me so upset.
Frankly, it's because it's for young women, and it's because there's female pop stars involved. There's a lot of shitting on them being like, this is fucking useless. They're all as talented as a bunch of people working at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah,
it fucking infuriates me. But neither of them should be this low.
No.
But this film as well, it was sweet. I thought it was quite heartwarming. Was it cheesy? Yes. And were there some bits that made me cackle because they were so strange and bizarre?
Yeah.
But
like, it's not a flawless
if I saw
movie, but
this
it's
film-
perfectly
if
fine.
I saw this film as a kid, I would have loved it.
Same.
Yeah.
If I saw it when I was like 8 to 10 or whatever, I would have loved it.
I would have idolized all of them so
Yeah.
much. But I liked also the archetypes. I like that they're three friends that have drifted away throughout high school, and Britney Spears is like the nerdy one who gets pushed hard to become a doctor and is a valedictorian. And then you've got Zoe Saldana playing the popular girl, like really beautiful and thin because her mother guilts her weight all the time.
In 2002, I feel like it would have been a whole thing in a movie to make, not to make a whole thing out of it, but to make the black one of the three as the popular girl. That's still a bold choice in 2002, as far as I can think, you know. I don't know, like by that point it's more normalized, but I don't know, like in your star vehicle sort of thing, I feel like the obvious choice would be to make Britney Spears the popular girl.
Yeah, I suppose so. And then the third one is like the hillbilly one, right?
Yeah.
She's the working class. I live
Classic
in a
Taryn Manning.
I live in a trailer park and I don't have a lot of money and I have big dreams and I need to get out of this small town. So
Yeah.
they're three really fun archetypes where they come together and you're like, ooh, why did they drift apart as friends? And it makes
Yeah.
you sad that they had this friendship as kids and then they grew apart when the film actually begins.
Also, Anson Mount as Ben is pretty solid in this.
Who's he?
So I know about him because I have friends who sort of thirst trap after him. But also because more recently he's been in a bunch of Star Trek stuff. He was in Discovery and was so good and acclaimed that he's now leading his own Star Trek show, Strange New Worlds.
What's his name again?
Anson Mount.
Anson Mount.
He was also Black Bolt in Inhumans and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. To be honest, when I looked at his filmography, he wasn't in many things I've seen. This might be the first thing I've properly seen him in.
I've never seen him in anything, I don't think.
Apart from when I've seen him in Star Trek, but I haven't watched the full of those shows. Let me just get into the key details.
Yeah.
All right, so this came out in 2002. The director was Tamra Davis.
So it was a woman?
It was a woman.
Oh, I wanted to ask
Yeah.
if it was done by a woman because I hate it when it's a show about a show or a TV or a film about young women and it's made by a dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, what insight do you really have into this? Truly.
No, she was really into it.
Oh, that's great.
Interesting that she was from the classic sort of 90s wave of music video directors.
Nice.
Before doing this, but she did Billy Madison.
Oh, I love Billy Madison.
I know you did. That's what I said.
I love O'Doyle Rules.
And she did quite a famous doco about Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Who's that?
He's a famous artist. She's actually done 2 different Basquiat docos.
From what era? Like modernism?
Yeah, modern, relatively modern.
What part of modern? I just want to know.
I
What's her
remember
obsession?
studying him in high school and
Is
stuff.
he the guy with the lines,
That doesn't. I don't know how much that narrows it down.
boxes and colors?
Boxes and well, no. Are you thinking of what's the guy who does the boxes and the lines? There's someone at home screaming the colors.
Yeah, the ugly shit, yellows and reds.
I liked that one.
I'm sorry, they're not ugly.
Mondrian.
That's right.
That's Mondrian.
So who's this other guy?
Jean-Michel Basquiat is American, is part of neo-expressionism in this 80s, 70s? 70s.
So I'm not gonna like it.
I like it. I think it's neat.
Anything post 1860.
Really.
Get out of here.
He's known for his sort of like crown image that he uses a lot. So this is his like
Oh yeah.
that crown that he sees a lot, but like he has a very distinct sort
wow,
of like
yeah.
loose style.
Yeah.
It's
Very unique.
very unique. And this is what I mean, like it's quite good and expressionist.
Looks like outsider art, or what outsider art was like 30 years prior.
Yeah,
you know?
honestly, this is what I mean. Instead of like the very Mondrian, like here is some blocks and colors, and you're meant to bring your own meaning to it, which I respect. Even if I don't always enjoy it as much as Mondrian, I think Basquiat is great.
Yeah.
Anyway, she made 2 different docos about him. He famously died at 27.
Why? He's in the 27 Club.
Yeah, he
He
is.
is. Oh my god, let's talk about him for the whole episode.
Oh, drug use. Yeah, of course.
Oh.
Oh, apparently in part he got into it because of coping from the death of Andy Warhol.
Oh, so when did he die?
I said, like a fun fact.
I know.
It's-
Trauma response. How old? Like, sorry, when did he die?
1988.
Okay, right. Interesting.
Anyway, so Tamara Davis also there's such the classic. When looking through Tamara Davis's filmography, it's like movie, and then you see Crossroads, and the next movie is 20 years later. But if you go to television, it becomes like episode of TV.
Right,
so
yeah,
clearly
yeah.
they banished her to TV after this.
Oh, but this wasn't that bad.
It was also
Are you serious?
It was also written by Shonda Rhimes.
What?
This was written by Shonda Rhimes. Like, we haven't even gotten to that yet.
What? Why?
There were pieces of dialogue in this where I'm like, Shonda. I enjoyed this, but some of the dialogue, I was like, yeesh, Shonda.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy, man.
As we said, it's starring Britney Spears, Zoe Saldana, Taryn Manning, and Anson Mount. And it has 2 returning actors, as far as I could tell. Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City 2.
As soon as I saw her in the opening credits and then Britney had a mum that wasn't there, I was like, it's Kim Cattrall. Kim Cattrall's going to be her mum.
Yeah. And this is not who the second person was. I could have sworn, if you told me that Dan Aykroyd had been on this list already, I would believe you.
But he hasn't?
Oh, he has. Sorry, that means a third person. Dan Aykroyd was in Caddyshack 2 and Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
I forgot. And Justin Long was in The Squeakquel, Shipwrecked, Yoga Hoses, and Movie 43, bringing him into the 5 times club.
We've got to send Justin Long a hamper now. You made it.
Send him a fruit basket.
Yeah, that's right. Congrats.
You did it. He's there with his goofy little face. What?
How would Justin Long feel always playing the scrawny, nerdy guy that doesn't get the girl? Because that was his archetype as well for a long time in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Well, I would say two things about that. One, sometimes he did get the girl in those movies because he was the scrawny, nerdy guy.
That's true.
So, which is the underdog. The other thing is, I think it's just an amount of self-awareness.
I think it's just that he's skinny, and so people were like, he's lovable and skinny, and he does play the role really well, so they were like, cast him.
He's also got or rather, he's good at playing. He's good at doing a nervous energy. No,
Yeah.
we know that's not core to him because in the Mac versus PC ads, he's very good at playing the cool guy.
Yeah, he is. And it's because he's actually just objectively good looking.
Yeah.
But he's also
a handsome
happens
guy.
to be kind of smallish, you know?
He's handsome, but he's also easy to stylize as a dork.
He was a good dork in Galaxy Quest.
He's a great dork in Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he did get the girl because he ended up with Drew Barrymore for a while.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
He's in a few episodes of New Girl where he plays quite the dork.
Yeah.
I will say.
Yeah.
Really Justin Long hamming up his archetype.
And he was like Britney Spears' like lab partner
Lab
in this,
partner,
right? And
which-
he was really sweet.
He was sweet.
But the sex scene was a bit uncomfortable where he was really guilting her into having sex with him.
There was part of me where I was like, "Ee," and then I was
Yeah.
like remembering what the actual dynamic is like, especially in the 2000s.
Yeah.
She is in full control in that
She
whole
is,
scene.
exactly. It's not like she's at all threatened. It's just, he's kind of just annoying about it.
He's not pushy in the sense that he's making it happen.
Yeah.
He is begging her.
He's begging, exactly. I do think that, you know, sometimes we're quick to, especially now when we're so informed
Yeah.
and we're so educated on it, I think we're very quick to call certain behaviors predatory when really that was him being like, please,
Yeah.
please,
There's
please.
no power he had
No,
in that scene.
exactly. It was hardly predatory. It was just, he was being annoying.
If anything, he was prey asking to be eaten.
Yes. Imagine being Justin Long and it's like, yeah, so you're going to try and have sex with Britney Spears in this scene. You'd be like, okay.
Oh, she enters in looking incredibly hot.
Amazing.
Amazing. And then
'Cause
it
she's
cuts
gorgeous.
to Justin Long just sort of awkwardly sitting there. And I'm like, there's no way she's going to sleep with him.
So I know we haven't even, I've like cut you off in the middle of your key details.
Totally.
But I wanted to say as well before I forget, this film was so, and we should touch on it later, this film was weirdly foreboding about Britney Spears because
Yeah.
it's the whole plot about how her dad, Dan Aykroyd, is too controlling and needs to let her go her own way. And in the last final scene, she's singing about no one having control over her. Like
Yeah.
basically like, you can't protect me, you're overprotecting. I want to do this and that. It made me really sad. And it also made me realize how when Britney Spears was young, she was just a normal girl. Like she was very self-aware. She had a good sense of humor. She laughed a lot. The behind the scenes footage during the credits looked really happy and positive.
Yeah.
Like everyone was just like giggling a lot. And I was like, she was like a normal girl from Texas. And where she was from 2002 when this was made to just 10 years later was such a different person. And it made me feel sad. I was like, what would Britney have been like if she never became famous? She would be well adjusted. She'd be probably living in Texas maybe. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It just made me sad.
The budget for this
Yeah.
was 10 to 12 million. And it made 61.1. So it wasn't a bomb.
Okay, that's
So
good.
they shouldn't have put Tamara Davis in director jail. She
Yeah,
should have
what
been
the
like,
fuck?
I made 6 times its budget.
And
Like,
it was
leave me
nice
alone.
for young girls. It was like it worked for the target demographic.
I'd be so
young women.
angry if I made a movie that made 6 times its budget and,
And
they were like, we're not going to give you another one.
Well, I just felt like, again, like she brought in the star power that was Britney Spears. People went to go watch it for Britney Spears, and then people turned around and said, Britney Spears is so fucking lame. I can't believe that, like, I don't know. It's just, it makes me annoyed.
It's this anger response that's actually true in the next couple of movies we have that a lot of people, I say people because it is primarily men, but it's even some women who want to extricate themselves from femininity and don't realize it. They want to achieve a higher rung on the patriarchal ladder where there's those things aimed at teen girls and they don't realize they've been like almost conditioned into an immediate anger response.
Yeah.
It's a theme that I see in the reviews of several of these movies that we've done as well, of people talking like, I hear about it's like a huge part of Twilight when we did Twilight, people talking about, I hear about it and I get angry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't mean it's bad. Like,
Yeah.
go to therapy. Why do you hate this so much?
Yeah, I think when it comes to children and teenagers, it's like, just let them enjoy what they want to enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm all for judging adults and what they
Sure.
do, however.
But like, it
Once
makes me
you
think,
hit 18, all bets are off.
but it makes me think of disco. Back in the 70s, it was specifically queer people, women, and you know, people of color were feeling excluded from rock. So they started going to clubs and started founding disco. And then a lot of like rock DJs and stuff like, fuck disco, we hate disco, disco sucks, became like
Yeah.
catchphrases. People would hold like concerts specifically about like, we hate disco. I'm like, you are just angry about this thing that's not for you.
Well, yeah, you really, the fact that you've dedicated so much time to hating on something that hasn't affected your life is bizarre.
Yeah.
That's
Strange.
cringy.
That's cringe.
To me, honestly, what's cringy is spending a lot of time hating something. That's extra cringe.
Hey kids, your hatred is cringe.
Yeah, think about that, Gen
Think
Z.
about that. Get that in your head.
Yeah.
Some of them are Gen Alpha now, but the kids, your hatred is cringe.
When did Gen Alpha begin?
Well, we're 29, right? So,
Yeah.
but we're also like right on the border
Yeah.
of where it becomes Gen Z. So that means there's like 11 years of adults who are Gen Z.
Why have we gone back to 10-year increments?
No. I'm saying it's like 15. So some of them are still teenagers.
Okay. Wait,
that
but
doesn't
when
mean
does
all
Gen Alpha begin? 2010?
I don't know. 2010. I don't know. Well, it was 1985, like 2000. No, it was
What?
85, 95, and then it's like 2010, I guess. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
you're probably right. So some of them are
How
14.
come the increments aren't like evenly spaced? You know, baby boomers got a whole 20 years. Gen X got a whole 20 years.
We're making them shorter. Because then it's easier to create these different social categories.
And I hate it. It's bad for us.
Even though it's a generation, and I'm like 15 years, I'm like, you're really pushing, like, you're really encouraging a lot of teen pregnancies if you're telling that when it's like, oh, your parents are baby boomers if you're millennial. I'm like, it's generation. My parents should be the previous one.
I know. And yet.
That's it. That's crazy.
Yeah. We have a
What do
whole
you-
generation between us and our parents.
Millennial kids should be Gen Z, not Alpha. What are you talking about?
I will also say, like, I fully believe that, of course, millennials did and still do things that are, like, kind of outdated or cringy, whatever.
Sure.
But what makes me cringe more is watching people making fun of it online. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but you don't understand, guys. You're Gen Z. You do that weird hand in front of your face thing when you're
Yeah.
making TikToks.
Oh, my God.
And you also start every TikTok with, oh, my God, you guys.
Yeah.
You're going to be looking back at that in 5 years' time, and you're also going to be cringy. A lot of you are fucking cringy.
But that's the thing. It's the same. It's like when they're doing the Gen Alpha thing of like, he's got a Sigma Gyat down in Ohio, and they're
Yeah.
saying gibberish. Like they invented being random. Fried meme JPEG
Yeah.
compression is just RAR XD
Yep.
glomp. It's
Yep.
just Monty Python. It's
all-
fucking Spike Milligan
It's
all over
fucking
again.
cyclical, all right? It just keeps going around. And I think that, like, Gen Z love to point out that millennials, like, got really excited about nerdy shit or whatever and being like, I don't know, like, there's a lot of Gen Zs being like, oh my God, can you believe that these millennials did this online? And I'm like, yeah, but then in 10 years, people are going to make
kids.
fun of you for pretending you didn't care about anything online.
It's people swallowing their own oppression. They're going like, look at these dorks. You're a dork, and there's nothing wrong with being a dork. Just be a dork, man.
Well, again, and I don't mind, like, it's not untrue that people, like, millennials are cringy. Of course they are, but
Yeah.
so are you.
Yeah.
You're being cringy right now.
Exactly.
Next time you make a video where you do your hand over your mouth and you shake your head and go, ah, just think about what you're doing.
To be cringe is to be free.
It's true.
Liberate yourselves
Fully.
and accept your cringe.
Yes.
So-
Although maybe don't do it professionally.
So here's the overview.
Okay.
3 kids from Georgia, Lucy, Kit, and Mimi, bury a wish box with their dreams inside, represented, not literally. Now it's their high school graduation. The 3 of them have drifted far apart, but they agree to dig it up. They lament the dreams they let fall by the wayside before Mimi, who is pregnant, states that she's going to LA for a record company competition and suggests the other 2 come, which they reluctantly do. Taking a lift from Ben, a local musician who is rumored to have just gotten out of prison for murder, they start their trip before realizing they are wildly underprepared, with little money and no plan. After they receive cash from tips at a local bar's singing night, they stay at a hotel and have their first honest conversation since they were children. They stop in Tucson so Lucy can stay with her birth mother to reconnect. However, her mother reveals that she was an unintended pregnancy and wants nothing to do with her. She continues on with the rest of them as Ben reveals he was sent to prison for helping her sister flee her abusive father and not for murder. Once in LA, Kit takes Mimi unexpectedly to see Kit's boyfriend Dylan, who it is revealed is not only cheating on Kat, but also sexually assaulted Mimi and is the father of her child. There, Mimi falls down the stairs, causing a miscarriage.
Which was probably the worst scene. Of
Probably
the
the
whole
worst
thing.
scene.
It was pretty funny.
It was also insane tonal shift.
Yeah.
Kit decides Lucy should perform a song Ben wrote using Lucy's lyrics instead of herself, to which Lucy agrees, realizing that this is what she wants instead of just what her dad wants.
Yeah.
The kids rebury the wish box at an LA beach, but this time deciding to focus on the present and their friendship instead of their dreams.
Yeah. And
The
like
end.
leaving behind things from their past.
Yeah, exactly.
Kit puts her engagement ring in and everything.
Yeah.
I really watched this movie because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you really watched this.
Well, okay. The big twist in it is that Mimi is pregnant. Like, well, that's not the twist. She's pregnant, and the twist is that Kit's fiance, who she's going to see in LA, had raped her.
Yeah.
This pregnancy was the result of like rape.
Yeah.
And did you also see it coming that it would be her boyfriend though? Because she was like, "What's his name?" And she's like, "I don't remember." And I was like, "It's her boyfriend. It's her fiance. I swear to God, it's Kit's fiance."
I didn't because there's two bits. There's in the honest conversation sequence where it's revealed that actually it's not Mimi's ex-boyfriend. It is sexually assaulted. It is from
rape.
The result of rape.
Yeah.
Which was that to me was a surprise because it's so tonally distinct from everything else around it.
So sad. But I kind of like that they did it as well.
It's
At first
real.
I was like, whoa, like, is this film okay? Like, can it handle something this heavy? But then they just did it. And I was like, that was done well.
Yeah, I think I can see the argument that like it doesn't give it the right weight, but I'm also like, it's a thing that happens to girls.
Well, I think it does. I think they're all really upset by it and really hurt, and they're all crying, and Kit's crying, and she goes like, I can't believe this has happened to you. And then she's like, don't worry, it happens to girls all the time. And I think it's very realistic.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the same way that like I appreciate the nuance of depicting it's Lucy's rather mum who is the like I want nothing to do with this instead of the classic runaway dad and single mum. It's a single dad.
I also saw that coming a mile off because she kept being like, my mom will be so happy to meet me. I haven't seen her since she was 3. And they're all like, oh my God, she's going to be so glad to meet you.
The only thing we know about your mum is that she left.
Yes.
Like there's no way.
And like I understand the reasoning of she'll be afraid. She's afraid she walked out on me and she'll be happy to see me. But as a viewer, you're like, oh, well then in that case, she's not going to be happy to see you.
Also, I mean, similarly, Kit describing that her favorite times were at fat camp because that's where she got less shamed for being fat than her mum.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
And they laid that well, I thought, at the beginning when they're taking photos at graduation. Her mum walks up and she goes, suck your tummy in.
Yeah.
And my mum used to tell me to do that.
Oh, wow.
Lots of girls' mums tell them to do that. Pull your tummy in. Pull your tummy in.
Yeah.
And I remember my mum. Okay, I'm not trying to throw my mum under the bus. She was a really good mum.
I think it's also a product of its time.
She's a product of her generation. A lot of women of her generation still in their 60s are worried about their weight, think about their weight, obsess about their weight.
Yeah.
And I don't hold it against them. I think it's just they're a product of their own mothers.
Yeah.
They're a product of the magazines that they consumed and the media that they watched.
It was just like the way to raise your kids in the 2000s.
And they didn't want us to have a harder life in a sense because they were like, my daughter will get further if society thinks she looks good. And that's the unfortunate truth. It's true.
Yeah.
People do.
It's still true. It's just now the strategy we take is to go like, that's crazy.
Instead of, I'm going to take this out on my daughter.
Yeah.
But, my mum did. I remember my mum used to tell me like, oh, like the more you like suck in your tummy, the more you can build muscles and the easier it becomes. Like she was giving me tips on it, And so when I watched that, I was a bit like, ow. And, when she's like standing there being like, smile, darling, smile, smile. And so there was also a bit where they were looking at the photos of them as kids and she says, oh, I was so chubby. And so I was like, they've laid really nice seeds about this weight issue with her mother.
I think of the main 4 big dark story, like they all have a thing with their backstory, including Ben. The worst is definitely Ben's because it's such a fucking gimme when they're like the distinction between, oh, he murdered someone. Obviously he didn't. He looks like he's max 20.
Yeah.
Which means I'm like, how long do you think he was in prison for?
Yeah, exactly.
For murdering someone. And then it was instead, actually, he's the most noble guy there is. I'm like, oh, fuck
Oh,
off.
you were helping your sister because she was getting beat up by her dad.
It couldn't even just be like, I got in with the wrong crowd and I stole something.
Which that would be more realistic.
Totally.
It's like, oh, I made a mistake when I was 17. Like I helped my friends rob a store and it was the dumbest thing I've ever done and I'll never do it again. I'd believe that.
Yeah, totally. Instead it was...
He's perfect.
Yeah, my stepdad was beating the shit out of my stepdaughter, my stepsister.
And I took her over state lines and
which
it's a felony.
Which is kidnapping.
Yeah. But Ben as a character, let's just talk about him for a second because he's Mimi's friend. So Mimi organizes the road trip to LA.
Yeah.
From where are they in? They're from Georgia.
They're from Georgia, yeah.
Yeah, and so she gets Ben to drive them because he's got a car. And, Lucy and Kit meet him for the first time and they all think he's killed a guy and they're all kind of scared.
He's right later when they're like, that's crazy that you went on the trip with me.
Yeah, he's like, why did you do the trip with me then if you thought I was a killer. And they were like, and that when Britney thinks he's a killer, she's like fully stonewalling him, like won't talk to him anymore. And I'm like, I would really try and stay on this guy's good side if I were you. If you think he's killed someone, I'd be like, what, Ben? So true.
Yeah, no, that's a great strat. That's why you'll survive.
Yeah, I'm a survivor, baby. But yeah, with Ben, his whole thing is that he turns out to be a really nice guy, and him and Lucy, Britney's character, fall in love. But he is really possessive about his car.
He is.
And he doesn't like girl songs. He likes boy songs, which is like rock.
Yeah.
And there's a bit where he's been driving all day and he's asleep. And they're like, we should drive for him. He's driven for hours. So they steal his keys out of his pocket and they start driving. And then Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman starts playing.
Yeah.
And they can't help but sing along. And I get it because I would too. Yeah. And when Britney Spears is like, let's go girls. And they all laugh. I was like, that is girlhood.
And that was fun. Yeah.
That's girlhood.
Very
it's just
girlhood.
Like just singing together in a car like that and being stupid. It was really beautiful. I thought the way that the actresses genuinely seemed to bond.
Yeah.
Anyway, he wakes up and he's like, stop the car now. And he goes off into the desert and he starts kicking things and throwing rocks. And he's fully having a temper tantrum. And they're just watching him. I swear to God, if that was me, I would have gotten out of the car and like shoved him and be like, grow up. What the fuck?
Well, it's interesting because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, fuck up. Especially because when he was like, I'm a guy, you know, I'm a guy.
Do you know what it's like to be surrounded by chicks?
Yeah. But also,
for 3 days.
I don't know, remembering the like gender dynamics of when I was in high school, which was, you know, late 2000s, early 2010s. So pretty similar to 2002. I don't know. There's part of me, I'm like, he walks off and he goes to kick rocks instead of continuing to yell at them. And then, I don't know, if I was on a road trip with like a bunch of boys who were doing very, very being duty the whole time, even though, you know, I'm more gender liberated than Ben is in this movie, they would cut. And if I was driving the whole time, I would be like, please, this is my car.
Yeah.
I do want to have one precious thing.
But if you had a tantrum about it, I would also tell you to grow up.
Sure.
If, you know, it's music in a car.
Sure.
It's annoying, but also in a way, he's a man and they're women and he is punching down. He's being like, I hate your girl shit. You know what? The whole world does.
I do think he's the way he hates he's like, this is
chick
terrible.
Music, yeah.
And he puts on songs that are frankly the same quality.
Yeah, and then Kit is like, this is just as bad.
Yeah, and she's
which I
right.
love. But what I do like about him is that at the end of the film, they're all driving and they're singing to If It Makes You Happy.
I loved that scene.
Yeah, and then he starts singing and they're all happy. So
yeah.
That was like a nice...
I actually really liked that scene.
Me too, and I love that song.
Yeah.
Also, Zoe Saldana she's a beautiful woman.
She's gorgeous.
She's a gorgeous lady.
This movie is wall to wall pretty people.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
honestly.
What I like about the woman who plays Pensatucky, what's her name?
Taryn Manning.
She plays Mimi, is that she doesn't try to always look beautiful, nor does Pensatucky. Like, she's okay to just look white. Like, sometimes she looks really wiped out and plain, and she looks sweaty and unwell, and she literally falls down some stairs and loses her baby, so she's in hospital. But it's really refreshing because I'm like, she doesn't care about looking pretty. She just looks like a real woman who's like going through shit in this film.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really liked them. I really liked the girls. Like, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm not fucking... Like, there were a few bits where I was like, that was a bit weirdly done, like the falling down the stairs where she drops her keychain, and the keychain is symbolic because it's the world, and it's what she had put in the memory box at the beginning of the film as a kid because she wants the world. That's her dream.
The world.
What I want is the world.
Which but, also is not really what she wants.
Yeah.
It's not really the thing she wants. She wanted to get away.
Yeah.
In the end, she completely folds on her dream because she admits that Britney Spears is a better singer.
Yeah, yeah.
Which the movie does two things in the same scene. One is they avoid doing a pet peeve of mine in movies, and the other is they do something I think is very silly.
What?
It's specifically the scene. This is like one of the few scenes I really wanted to zone in on. It's the scene where Ben is like, I turned your lyrics into a song.
I actually had to fast forward this scene. It was too cringy. I'll be honest.
Maybe that's why you really liked the movie.
Exactly, because as soon as it began, I was like, I don't actually think I can stomach this.
I don't always care for pop music. Sometimes I enjoy it, and I will have more thoughts about this as we continue on this podcast. But what I really don't care for is pop ballads. There's something about them as a genre. I just really don't like them. And this was the most pop ballad of them all.
Yeah.
But they did two things. One that I love, which is that he shows her the song, and then she's like, "Oh, I guess I can sing this." She goes full into her singing voice. Yeah. I love when a character in a movie is just talking one moment, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll sing this," and then they do their full polished pop vocals. It's so funny to me.
And
every
also,
time.
Britney Spears got a very particular style of vocals where it's very like it doesn't sound like her voice. She does this little thing that's my prerogative.
Which, of course, it has been revealed several times that is not her natural singing voice.
Yeah.
That is the specific Britney Spears singing voice that she's encouraged to do.
It works because it's distinct.
Yeah,
it actually is. It is. And it works in her songs. It's fun. I also love that every time she says me in a song, it's always May.
Yeah.
You don't talk to me. I love it.
But the other thing is that it was going to drive me insane. I hate in a movie, there's so many movies where someone's like, "Hey, I wrote you a song. Just sing along." And they start playing it.
And they know how to do it
They just know how to do it perfectly.
Yeah, he does say this bit's the chorus.
And he shows sheet music.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God he wrote it down.
It made more sense that they could do it
Totally.
together, whereas instead of just being like, just sing along.
For someone who seems to hate pop, he writes a good pop ballad.
Yeah, he really does.
I'll say it's at least a solid song compared to what a guy from a small town in Georgia would tend to write.
That hates chick music.
He writes a pretty solid ballad.
Of course, music had to come into it because Britney Spears is the lead.
Yeah.
And she was truly like at the peak of her career around the time this came out. But I think that I was still prepared for it. And I wasn't a fan of the absolute final song during the credits. That was I was like, whatever. And I couldn't bear the pop ballad either.
Yeah.
But the last song that she sings at the audition about like not being, she's like, "I'm not a girl, not yet
that's
a
the
woman."
song that he writes.
Yeah, it actually was really touching.
Yeah.
Like it actually like really kind of made me like tear up a bit because I was like, this really is about like being in that part of your life where you do feel like you're no longer a girl, but you haven't figured anything out yet.
Oh, yeah.
You're confused.
I want to be clear. When I say I don't care I don't care. It thematically works in the movie, and I think it's a well-written song.
Yeah.
I just don't care for that kind of song.
No, me neither. But I enjoyed watching it at the end when it was a fully formed song, and it made me really emotional because I was like, if I was like 16 when I watched this as well, I would be like bawling my eyes out.
I think they should have introduced it maybe sooner, because the idea that we hear her do the ballad like 15 minutes before the end and then hear her do the ballad again at the end.
Well, I skipped the first one.
Yeah, so for me, I was like, again?
I couldn't. As soon as whenever
it's so long too. They really do the whole song.
I just like did the little fast forward so I could see them moving, but I didn't have to hear it because I was like, I can't do it, and I could see the lyrics. Yeah, but I can't bear sentimentality. I also feel like when I'm in a group of friends and someone busts out a guitar, I can't stand it either. I'm like, this is too sentimental. Unless we're playing something fun, if you're going to do something sad, I can't bear it. I can't listen.
I hate when someone does something sad.
Yeah.
As someone, I have busted out a guitar at a party very rarely, and it's mostly just because of some of our friends, including a good friend of mine, Simone. She sings, she performs and stuff, and so sometimes it's like we're doing it for each other, not for the rest of the party.
Yeah.
You gotta do a fun one. You can't do a sad song and then start singing it. You can't do it at a party. That's awful.
Yeah. Imagine you bust out a guitar and you start singing like "Linger" by the Cranberries. I'd be like,
terrible.
I'm leaving.
Maybe if you're at like a camp and you're at the campfire and it's not where everyone is.
Yeah.
And it's like you're doing it for you.
Yeah, do it for you, but don't do
you.
it for the group because I'm leaving.
Yeah. At a party inside, a full acoustic, that's loud.
It's for sentimentality.
Yeah.
It's like that bit in Please Like Me where Josh wants to break up with Arnie and they've gone down to the Great Ocean Road.
Yeah.
And they're camping for Hannah's birthday. And then Arnie pulls out a guitar and he starts singing a cover of like "Shine Bright Like a Diamond." And they're all just trying to like stifle laughs because they don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's really awkward.
It's why I could never get into that guy, Passengers? Let her go. He does the cursive singing. It's fucking awful. I hate it.
What is he, like the male Halsey or something?
Basically. And what I really don't care for is every time I hear him, I'm like, this guy is the worst person at every party.
Let it go.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one, but sung the way I sung it.
Yeah, fully.
Sort of like if Alt J was even more annoying.
Yeah, I love like classic indie singers like "Come on, skinny love." Well, that's not even a classic singer. When I went down to the river to pray, something about the river today. I don't know where I go.
Yeah, that, but with a sad piano underneath it.
Yeah.
Just get a room. Well, they recorded in it, and I have to listen to it now. It's so annoying.
Old MacDonald had a farm.
That's as if there was a version of Old MacDonald.
And on that farm, he had a goat. E-I-E-I-O. E-I-E-I-O.
I can't. It's why I'm not going to be like precious about pop versus indie. I'm like, indie's awful too. Like, you know.
You know what's awful? When women get their hands on music. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Fuck the matriarchy.
Fuck the matriarchy.
Let's
that was
put some power back into the cocks of the world.
That's my takeaway from Crossroads. Where's the dicks?
Yeah, chick music sucks.
Give me them dicks, bro. Pull out the hogs.
Pull out the hogs.
Is there anything else about this movie?
I want to hear some trivia.
All right, let's do it. IMDb trivia. So, this was one that wasn't in the trivia. I found it while looking up something, and I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Anson Mount was born Anson Adams Mount IV. His father, Anson Mount II, was one of the original contributing editors to Playboy.
Oh, wow.
Now, if your question is why is he the second and then he's the fourth, it's because his older brother is Anson Mount III.
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
Wait, how is... So his brother has the exact same name as him?
Yes, his brother is also Anson Adams Mount, but he's Anson Adam Mount III.
So what's the family nickname for them? If they're both Anson.
3 and 4?
What?
So dad, 2 sons, all named Anson Mount.
That's so funny. That's so weird.
It's such a weird choice to arrange it that way.
There's an old US judge who was named like Chickasaw Mountain Jr.
Yeah.
Because his father was like killed at the Battle of Chickasaw Mountain. And I'm like, that's great. I think they just called him Mount.
That's cool.
Mount.
Anson Mount was actually also initially reluctant to accept the role of Ben, finding the script to be cheesy and lame, but was encouraged by Robert De Niro, with whom he was working at the time on City by the Sea. De Niro turned out to be a huge Britney Spears fan. They went over scenes from Crossroads on breaks from City by the Sea, with Mount reading his lines and De Niro reading Spears.
That's so cute.
Here's the thing. A recurring thing through all the research I did from this, both in the trivia and in general, is that I think it's easy to underestimate, being only like 7 or 8 at the time, just how huge Britney Spears was and how magnanimous she was. Basically, everyone who worked on it because they wanted to meet Britney Spears.
Of course. I mean, I remember as a kid loving Britney Spears.
Yeah.
I remember watching the music videos and being like, she is it. And then you watch this and you realize it's because she looks like an all-American girl.
Yeah.
She's blonde, she's pretty, she's doe-eyed, she's sweet, and she sings well, but she's kind of got this mystery and sexiness to her.
It's why that I like that she's portrayed as smart in this, as well as that she has sex. Like, she has such like an innocent persona, and she said specifically, I didn't have this in my trivia, but I'll say it now, she very specifically wanted to make sure that there was still a sex scene to challenge the concept of being innocent.
I love that.
She's still innocent, but she's still allowed to have a boyfriend and have sex with him.
I mean, how many times does she have to sing, I'm not that innocent, you know, for us to get the message?
But that's the thing, because it's not horny and sexualized, the sex scene. That's what I enjoyed about it.
It was cute. It was lovely.
Sweet,
it was
and
beautiful. And like, it makes you remember the beginning where she's like, I want my first time to be special and to be like emotional.
Sex with your partner is cute and sweet.
Cool.
It's cool.
Nah, sex is also filthy and disgusting.
But what I'm saying is it can be both.
Yeah, let it be both.
Let it be both. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Dan Aykroyd, this is the most Aykroyd thing I've ever heard. Dan Aykroyd created a detailed backstory for his character and his life in the Navy. He even had a friend draw a Navy tattoo on his arm, which can be seen in the scene where he is working on the car in the garage.
That's so cute.
This is like how he wrote like a 300-page script for Ghostbusters, because he'd never read a film script before, so he didn't know how long they should be.
Oh, I love Dan Aykroyd. Everything about him is so bizarre. And like, he just does whatever the fuck he wants.
Maybe the most autistic person we've had in movies.
Although Crystal Skull vodka it's not that good.
It's not
great. I mean, I'm also not a vodka person. I will say about her dad's character, the whole thing is that he wants her to be a doctor and he's pushing her hard, and it comes out that she was a mistake in her mother's eyes because her mother didn't want to have her and she wanted to terminate the pregnancy, I suppose.
Yeah.
And her father forced her to go through with it, which is like really sad and horrible.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he really put pressure on her to like have this child, and in the way that he's putting pressure on his daughter to become a doctor. He sounds really controlling in that respect. But you also really, as a viewer, I thought it was really touching then after you think about what he had done to like protect his daughter's feelings. Yeah. And also he is so obsessed with her. He's so invested in his daughter's life.
I think the dad is one of the areas where I think the movie doesn't quite stick the landing. Because it's so specific, the line of like, hey, he's really pushy to both to both the mum and to her.
Yeah.
But also has this nuance of like genuinely caring for her and all that. It's like
thing?
I really don't think it sticks the landing on that.
Well, the thing is, like, I think they set up a good thing of like he's such a loving father and he's obsessed with his daughter. But it's overbearing, and you know, like it's funny how like she appreciates him so much after she finds out her mother didn't want her. At least I did as a viewer. But then when he comes and finds her, he's like nagging and controlling again. However, in the last bit, they get in a taxi because he's like, we're going home, you're not going to the audition. And she sits there sadly for all of 20 seconds where she basically says to dad, like, you can't, like, I don't want you to make me do what mum did to you. I'm not going to run. You have to let me go. And she like takes off the necklace he gave her and gives it back to him. And she gets out the car and she kisses Ben. That scene I thought this is where it doesn't stick the landing, in that he apparently is just fine with that because she gets out the car and kisses him, and then it cuts to the audition and he's just like there supportive crying, and we don't see anything to complete his character journey.
Yeah, it's like he's missing 2 or 3 steps.
Yes, yeah. We needed more.
This is a quick one. The set used for the hospital scene is that from the TV series Scrubs.
Oh, great.
Britney Spears wears a Southern University t-shirt in the movie and on its poster. However, Southern University is a predominantly African-American school in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The reason for this is because costumer Wendy Schechter found the shirt at an LA thrift store. She explained that her character, Lucy, is a college-oriented girl. Not only was the snug shirt a perfect fit, but Britney Spears is from Kentwood, Louisiana, which is just 75 miles away from the 17,000-student Southern's main campus. The school enjoyed the publicity, saying, "We're tickled pink," said Chancellor Edward Jackson, who approved the shirt's usage. The fact that we're African-American makes little difference. The school's bookstore saw sales of Southern clothing items increase drastically as a result of this free publicity.
That's sweet.
I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah. Is she from Louisiana, not from Texas?
Yeah.
What?
Kentwood, Louisiana.
What? Did she move to Texas? Where did I pull that out of my ass from?
I don't know.
You're not going to believe this, Michelle, because you don't see it a lot on this podcast, but sometimes I get things wrong.
I'm yet to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think if you dug on this podcast, it'd also be hard to find, but it's true. Well, apparently she was born in Mississippi.
But did she grow up in Kentwood, Louisiana? Well, this is just from IMDb trivia.
Yeah.
So the veracity of that is very much in question.
She then attended dance lessons in her hometown of Kentwood, Louisiana, though she was born in Mississippi.
Despite being a teen cult film, it was never released on streaming services or packaged to a Blu-ray high-definition release up until 22 years after its release.
Damn.
Director Tamra Davis said she had tried to make it happen unsuccessfully before through agents and lawyers, but such negotiations finally succeeded and the movie became available on Netflix globally starting February 15th, 2024.
I was doing the math. I was like, 22 years.
That's why we were able to watch it. That's incredibly thankful for us. We're only able to watch it
so it's a good
right
thing it's this low on the list.
Yeah, it's handy for us. Back when this film was released, comparisons were often drawn by critics to this film to Glitter 2001, a starring vehicle for Mariah Carey. Both were panned for being vanity projects that only existed to start an acting career for their singers. Though unlike Carey's film, this one received slightly better reviews and actually made money at the box office, while Glitter 2001 was a box office bomb. Though worth pointing out that Glitter had the unfortunate timing of being released theatrically in the same week of the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
Also, wait, fuck off, because there's so many male singers and bands that have plenty of, like, there's plenty of them that, like, go into, like, do some random film.
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, and also like the Ramones did Rock and Roll High School, worst film ever. Was that a vanity project? And if it was, why is it not on this list?
Well, the main reason I brought up Glitter is that Glitter is, in fact, on this list.
Oh, of course it is. So what about the male-led things? I would love to see Rock and Roll High School on this list because it fucking sucks. Rock and Roll High School.
Do you hear the reviews?
Yeah.
Reviews! This has 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And 3.5 on IMDb. I have more critic reviews than I usually did because some of them I thought were quite mean. So Chris Kaltenbach of the Baltimore Sun said, go see Crossroads if you want to hear Britney sing or see her wear next to nothing, but otherwise avoid this train wreck at all costs. So many of these reviews focus on the body. Maitland McDonough of TV Guide said the film's mealy-mouthed messages about feminine empowerment will almost certainly fall on deaf ears since even 11-year-olds know Spears' power resides largely in her torso.
Whoa.
What? When I read that, I think that might be one of the meanest reviews I've ever read.
Her power lies in her taut torso. Are we trying to pretend she can't sing? Because she can.
I know.
A lot of people try and say, oh, these women are so untalented. It's like, can you sing that well?
Yeah.
A lot of people can't sing that well.
And she does a perfectly fine performance, and she's at the very least charismatic.
Yeah, and a lot of being a performing artist is not all just about the voice as well. It's about the brand and the image and appealing to the masses. Sorry that you pathetic man behind your fucking keyboard, don't appeal to thousands among thousands of young girls the way Britney Spears does. But she did, and that's why she became a fucking icon.
Yes. Genuinely, that was, as I said, one of the meanest reviews I've ever read.
Oh, taut torso.
I have not stopped thinking about it since I read it.
Betty's got a fucking beer gut. All right, go on.
Pamela Hutchinson from The Guardian said, noting that prior negative reviews had recoiled at the film's savvy as a star vehicle, the way it builds up and reinforces Spears' commercial persona from her virginity to her work ethic. Hutchinson argued Crossroads was designed to represent what Britney Spears meant to her young fans, a hand to hold through the minefield of growing up. That's why her endearing earnestness shines through every deliberately unironic scene. This is kind of a semi-positive reappraisal review. Yeah. Notably, the only one of those critic reviews written by a woman.
Oh, yeah.
Who instead didn't go like, everyone knows we're just here because she's hot.
Yeah, because of her taut fucking body. Saying something's taut or like pert is disgusting.
Yeah, gross. Here's an IMDb review saying, titled, if you dislike it, you're just a fat, ugly pig with bad taste.
Now we're talking. I actually wrote this one.
Powderly.
Yeah, that was me.
Nobody set out to make a Titanic 2.0. They knew they were just making a cute little movie. I'm sorry you guys are inept.
Titanic is the benchmark for a good film.
Incapable or understanding it's just a cute little movie with an incredible soundtrack and cast. It's just cute. That's it. Stop reading so much into it. The Princess of Pop / Queen of God and Earth wanted to make a romantic comedy, and she did it. I'm just confused as to why people in the review section seem to expect some Schindler's List level depth to a movie where Britney dances in her underwear to Open Your Heart by Madonna. It was cute, and let's leave it at that. Not every movie needs to be freaking Shawshank Redemption. P.S. Britney is Christ. 10 out of 10.
Britney is Christ.
Not every movie needs to be freaking Shawshank Redemption.
I'm getting a fucking tramp stamp that says Britney is Christ.
Here's another IMDb review titled Coming of Age and Growing Apart by It's Jules. I don't know what angry people wrote these reviews, but it for sure isn't worth this low of a rating. Is it the greatest movie ever made? No. Is it a nice coming of age movie? Yes.
Yeah.
Shonda Rhimes wrote it, so it isn't too bad.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it and would be happy to watch it again. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, bitch.
And this last one's titled Instant Classic by Jordan Presnell. If any of you have a problem with the Queen, then you can come at me. Put some respect on her name when you're talking. # Free Britney. 10 out of 10.
Okay, queer. Oh my God.
Well, that was IMDb. What was your review?
Fucking same. It was just, obviously it wasn't designed to be the best film ever. It's a coming of age film. It does not deserve to be, not just this low on the list, but also just on the list in general.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. It's probably, I really liked it.
I really enjoyed it too.
I thought it was really sweet and heartwarming. And if I was a kid or if I was a young girl watching it, I I would have really loved it. I would have felt also like the darker themes around like rape and sexual assault. As a young girl watching it, I think it would be important as a young girl to watch it as well, to be like, I think it would stick with me if I was a young girl and would, I don't know. I think it had darker themes within it that didn't make it just feel superfluous as a film either. I actually think there was a lot of good intention and goodwill that went into this.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. And I clearly really paid attention and thought about it because they were doing stuff well. And I thought Britney really acted really well.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, no one came for her acting skill, at least in those user reviews. Like, I don't think... If anyone tried to criticize her acting, I think it's better than 95% of what I see on this list.
They weren't even real critiques.
No, they weren't.
They were just saying I'm angry at
Britney
it.
Spears.
She's hot. Which is clearly a psychosexual response.
Yeah, it is. I liked it. I'm actually going to give it like a 5.5.
Nice.
Fuck everyone.
I think for me, like, structurally it's a little wonky, which makes it kind of drag at times.
But it's a road trip film, so it always has a clear ending, at least in my opinion. I was like, they have a lot to tie up. They've got a fucking audition to do. She wants to see her fiancé, and she wants to see her mum, which meant that there were 3 things to tie off, which they did. They all got tied up. But it meant that I knew exactly where the film was heading the whole time. Yeah.
I think it's just, especially Act 2A, probably it feels a little it drags a bit. Which, you know, like, this movie isn't perfect. We don't have to pretend that it is, but it really doesn't deserve to be on this list.
No.
It really, and thinking about everything that happened to Britney Spears after this, as someone who's not even a Britney Spears fan, but like, it makes
the sad, ominous foreboding parts of it. Again, just that song is her being like, I don't want to be overprotected.
Yeah.
I want to do what I want to do. And I was watching it just feeling like shattered for her.
Yeah. This perfectly fine girlhood road trip movie that got such an immediate and psychosexual angry response to it that it appears this low on this list.
Yeah. Because she's got a taut torso.
Breaks my heart a little. Even though our baseline is 5, and, you know, if I put this against a good year, it's definitely a worse movie. I don't know. I also want to give it a 5.5.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it that too. Like,
good film. Fun film.
Fun time.
I enjoyed watching it. I actually did.
Well, I mean, if we enjoyed listening to that, but if you enjoyed listening to this, you could also follow us on social media. You can find us on Twitter or X at RateDescendPod. You can find us on TikTok at RatingDescending, or you could even be like Shane and email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com.
We're also on YouTube now at Rating Descending as well, if you ever get your podcast through that avenue.
Or you could even, again, I would say and you can find me on my own social media on Twitter and Instagram at michelle.stclair.
And don't forget to leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts, because if you're also outraged by this fucking inexplicable Britney hate, jump on and leave a review and say free Britney.
Free Britney.
And I love you guys.
If any of you have a problem with the Queen, then you have to come through me.
Yeah, comment Britney is Christ.
Comment Britney is Christ.
Also, if you do believe that Britney is Christ, email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com saying Britney is Christ.
Yeah. Well, that was Crossroads. Abby, what are we watching next week?
Michelle, next week we're watching a very similar film, as we've said earlier in this episode. Next week we're watching Spice World.
Nice.
And I'm so excited because I've never seen it and I've always wanted to see it.
I've never seen it either.
Yep.
I was not a Spice Girls girly growing up.
I wasn't either, but I sort of was. I mean, I'll get into it next week, but I've seen the very famous bus scene of them jumping over the London Tower. And so I've always been like, I have to watch it.
I know one thing about the Spice Girls in depth, and I want to talk about that next week.
Okay.
Because it's just the queerness of it all.
Oh, is it Ginger and
We'll get to it.
Scary?
We'll get to it.
All right.
We'll get to it.
Well, I'll see you there.
Bye.
And we'll spice up our lives.
Spice up your life.
Spice up your life.
We can't legally.